Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Salazar, good to see you. I wanted to ask you a couple of questions about your recommendations today, and just to make sure that I'm clear about them. Many of the recommendations that are in your report apply to floating vessels and floating drilling operations, but I think this could potentially leave out about 1/3 of what are called mobile offshore drilling units, because only about 1/3 of these are considered floaters and would be under this definition of regulation. So are you considering that definition and how to have a tighter consideration and make sure we don't have a loophole there? Or is there something I'm missing about these, the difference between these facilities? And maybe Mr. Black is better to answer this, I don't know.
Let me just say, we are aware of the distinction, and the moratorium in place applies to deep water drilling. The notice to the lessees that I talked about earlier that imposes safety requirements for drilling that will occur is now in the shallow waters that we define to be 500 feet or less. I will have Steve Black comment on the concept of the floating vessel, and because that was a central component of the report.
Senator Cantwell, thank you. If I understand your question correctly, floating rigs are rigs that are not either jackup rigs and anchored on the seafloor or moored rigs, but instead mobile rigs that are dynamically positioned and therefore have different risks, a different risk profile, and usually a subsea BOP stack. So the recommendations are intended to cover all of the mobile drilling rigs. We may need to get more information from you just to clarify that answer, but that is our intent.
Yeah, I think that in the term and in definition, I think you are missing some of those mobile offshore drilling units. So I think a big number. So we should look at that. And then also I wanted to clarify the report has recommendation to include third-party verification and validation of technology and use and aspects of blowout preventers, but it doesn't include a requirement for a, full top-to-bottom, look at a system or classification by somebody like ABS, the American Bureau of Shipping. So why not do that?
Senator Cantwell, the third-party verification requirement is an attempt, it's sort of one of the principles of the safety recommendations. In addition to ensuring redundancy, the Secretary recommended to the President agreed that with respect to recertification of blowout safety equipment, that those inspections should be verified by a third party, not affiliated with the company or the drilling contractor. That third party and the qualifications of that party, in the notice to lessees that the Secretary put out yesterday, we specified that the company needs to hire a qualified third-party verifier. So it may very well be that someone with those qualifications would meet that test.
I think we need to be more specific here, too, on your recommendations, because you don't want somebody looking just at a blowout preventer and whether that works. You're looking at the blowout preventer as part of a system, and you want to understand whether the system is going to fail. Or I'm just going off of some of the testimony we've had before us from the various people involved, and everybody down the line pointed the finger at somebody else. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, it was supposed to work, but you didn't have the right hydraulic fluid, or this was supposed to happen. So we want to make sure that we're looking at a validation of this, I believe, by third parties, and so we'd like to suggest some language to you on that as well.
Senator Cantwell, if I may, we're obviously open to whatever recommendations you might want to give us. The safety recommendations dealt with much more than just the blowout prevention mechanisms. They dealt with cementing, they dealt with casing, they dealt with training, and a whole host of other things. So it was a panoply of recommendations that we are implementing at this point. If there are things that we have missed, please let us know. And I'm sure that as we go forward, including getting the recommendations from the Presidential Commission, there will be additional requirements that will have to be imposed.
Well, I think the American Bureau of Shipping has provided a good third-party validation of these various technologies, and I think we should continue to use them. But I think getting the definition right so that people don't, just do a precursory, look at it, but actually a systematic operation is going to be critical for moving forward. So I thank the chairman. and
Thank you very
secretary.
much.